The Sawmill Accident. Vincent Farley lived in the country as a single man with no family. He worked at the local sawmill and never missed a workday. The building was small and could only hold about 5 people. One night, while working late, he lost his balance and stumbled while operating one of the machines. The track went off center, pulling him under the spinning blade meant for splitting logs. Vincent was now being cut from his forehead down to his chest. He let out a blood-curdling scream, going unheard. He was still alive, but losing blood. Staggering towards the exit, I went out the door and walked down the long dirt road. Vincent was looking for help since he had volunteered on the weekend, and no one was at the mill but him. In the distance, he could see a beige-colored farmhouse. Indeed, someone was home and could call for help. Vincent stumbled up the steps, using the outside paneling to hold himself upright. Raising a trembling hand, he knocked on the wooden screen door before falling onto the porch. Inside, the loud thud from outside alerted the couple who lived there. Rosie opened the front door, letting out a terrified scream. On the porch before her was an injured and bleeding Vincent. Looking over her shoulder to her husband Guard, her voice quivering, she yelled, "Call the doctor!" By the time the doctor arrived, it was too late. Vincent had already passed. What surprised the doctor the most was that a man with that injury should not have made it as far as Vincent did. After some time, Rosie and her husband heard noises of someone walking up the steps onto their porch, knocking on the screen door, and then falling with a thud. Flicking on the porch light, she peeked out the window to see nothing. "It must be Vincent," Guard mumbled, looking at Rosie from over his newspaper. She paled at the thought of her home becoming haunted, but knew her husband was right. After all, this was the last place Vincent had been before he passed away. They would have to get accustomed to it. Rosie just hoped that it would be fine later on. She knew that Vincent wasn't a bad person, so she hoped he wouldn't become an evil spirit. When they decided to have a family, Rosie would have to get their children accustomed to this phenomenon, if it could be called that. On a full moon night in the country, where an old sawmill used to stand, there is an old beige farmhouse not too far down the road. If you come across it in the middle of the night, stop and listen, and you may see and hear the ghost of Vincent Farley. Not much was known about him other than that he was a hard-working man with a miserable end to his life. If you were to stay the night, you would hear the creak of floorboards and a knock on the wooden screen door.